Have you ever wondered where the happiest people in the world live? I have often wondered if there is a place in the world that inhabits happier people. Luckily, there are studies done every year that teach us where these countries are. The happiest countries tend to always be the Nordic countries. Why, you might ask? I'm here to answer some of these questions today. I have been interested in these countries for several years in the studies made and have tried to understand what makes them so happy. I have come to see that there are certain factors and policies that contribute to the Nordic way of life. I think by learning about what makes these countries so happy, we can apply some of those characteristics to our own country. Although I have never been to any of these countries, I believe that we don't have to travel to every single country to try to understand their culture and way of life. Maybe some of you have traveled to some of these countries or are even from these countries. You can ponder upon your own experiences there, and if you haven't, it's always good to try to learn and understand another country's way of life. I would love to share some of the policies and factors that contribute to the happiness of these countries. This cultural happiness occurs in the top 5 happiest countries, which are Switzerland, Iceland, Denmark, Norway, and our neighbor Canada. Their policies and social factors that influence our happiness are some of the things I will touch on today. Let's start with how these studies are conducted. The United Nations conducts a World Happiness Report every year. And the United Nations started this World Happiness Report to promote and encourage countries to improve the happiness of their populations. They set up a ladder scale from 1 to 10, and they analyze factors that contributed to the feelings of happiness felt by these people. And countries all over the world were surveyed, and based upon their results, they sorted out the categories of happiness. The happiest countries are those with longer life expectancies, social support, high GDP, generosity, freedom to make choices, and have lower corruption rates. Switzerland, based upon these factors, is the happiest country in the world. And because Switzerland experienced such higher ratings for each of these variables, in 2015 they were considered to be the happiest country. Their rating on average was 7.5 out of a 10 on the evaluation scale. And because the Swiss lived to be up to 82 years old, that contributed to their happiness levels because they lived so long. And they are considered to be very healthy since only 9% of their population is considered to be obese. They haven't been involved in any wars for several centuries, which contributes to their happiness because they haven't had to go through any violence or turmoil for the several centuries based on war. And they have a universal healthcare system with the lowest appointment waiting time in the world. Based on studies, happier people live longer, they are more productive, and earn more money and are better citizens in general. All of these countries, even though Switzerland is the happiest, they all have some things in common. And based on the study, the top 5 feel that they have and play a big role in their government. They feel that their views matter to the higher officials, and the freedom to express their opinions also play a big part of their happiness levels. The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development states that the top 5 countries are some of the healthiest and the most active countries. To give you a comparison to how healthy they are, the US, where 1/3 of the population is obese, is the highest in the OECD countries that were evaluated, compared to other countries with only less than 1/4 of their population being obese. And another thing that contributes to their happiness is their low unemployment rates, which is at 4%, compared to several of the other countries in the world, which makes them be able to provide for their families and be able to do things that they enjoy as well. Another part that contributed to the happiness of these 5 countries was the health care provided and the trust that they feel. They all shared a collective perspective in community and family, and based on the study, they all felt that they could trust their neighbor, which contributed to the feelings of having a good support system. This characteristic didn't just apply to their community, but also extended to their government, and they felt that they were in a good place with good higher officials that they could trust. And another part was the health care, that they didn't have to spend a lot of money and were able to be healthy by going in to get checkups through their doctors, although they do pay higher taxes to be able to provide these services. They overall liked that a lot better. A universal health care system is provided and financed through taxes.